Hi all, my name is Comet and welcome to my cosmic corner of the internet where we discuss all things astrology. And today, all things Cancer ascendant. I am so excited to be diving into what it means if you have your rising sign in the sensitive, emotionally in tune sign of Cancer. I'm excited for this video in particular because I feel like Cancer is very misunderstood in regards to general astrological, just pop culture knowledge, as well as the ascendant. A lot of people will refer to the ascendant as our mask, but it goes so much deeper. And if there is just one placement within your chart for you to dive deeper into, I would recommend the ascendant because it is the angle of self-identity, outlook on life. So it has loads of relevance for how it is that we choose to live our life. So without further ado, I'm going to dive in. If you at any point get any value from this video, if you could consider liking, commenting, subscribing, any little nudge that you can give, I would be so appreciative of. It really helps me in continuing to work on cosmic content. And without further ado, let's dive in. Cancer ascendant. So let's start with how it is that you see the world. So like I said, I feel that Cancer is very misunderstood. People commonly will talk about Cancer energy and just be like, oh, they just cry all the time. And it's like, firstly, what? Maybe because I'm a Pisces, but I'm like, don't we all cry all the time? Maybe not. Maybe just the water signs are out here crying. It's not to say that Cancers aren't emotional, sure, but there is such a depth to them that I feel that a lot of people miss. So essentially with a Cancer rising, you see the world through this lens of being very tapped in, okay? And you are like an antenna in regards to soaking up the energetic and emotional stimuli from the world around you. And it can be very overwhelming to notice every little thing at every little moment. And with Cancer risings, it's like they're so plugged in, they can tell, like if they're at the party, they'll gravitate towards the person over there who is sad or feeling left out. Like their just emotional radar is on, their energetic radar is on. Because if you think about it, you are ruled by the moon, love. So I want you to find within your birth chart the sign and the house of your moon, because this will have loads of importance for you. And when we think about the moon as your ruling luminary, the moon doesn't have a light source of its own. It reflects the light of the sun. Now, I'm not saying that you are disingenuous or anything of the like, but there is this nature about you being such a gifted reflector of the world around you. And that's why a lot of people will project onto you that you are moody or crying all the time or emotional. It's because you're reflecting the emotional landscape that you are witness to, because you notice, you feel into things, you are privy to information and emotional data that many people miss. And part of that is where you have tremendous power, because you have enormous observational skills. Because again, the moon reflects, right, what's going on around. So oftentimes Cancer rising can observe not just, the party that they're at, but also trends within society. This is not talked about enough, but the moon in astrology actually governs the general public. And I think we sleep on that just because moon, as you may know, governs emotions, self-soothing, self-nurturing. So we think of it as, it's private, which it is, but interestingly, it also governs the general public because it indicates sort of the collective consciousness or their instinctive or emotional reaction to the world around them. So as moon with your luminary, you are tapped in, you get all of this data, and you also can be quite gifted as just like a marketer or in media or in anything of the nature, just because you are gifted at being able to observe the trends or like observe the collective and be able to, whether it's producing content yourself or just doing something that's very tapped into what the collective needs. Now, most Cancer rising placements will be drawn to something that requires or involves nurturing in some aspect. And that's the component that you've likely heard about Cancer, because Cancer in astrology is the zodiacal mother, and there is the strong desire to nurture, to pour their love and their attention into something. That doesn't necessarily always need to be a child, though oftentimes Cancer risings do have a special connection to children, but it also could be pouring love into pets, pouring love into plants. There is this desire to nurture, to give life to. And as a Cancer rising, this is an important part of your chart to tap into, because Oftentimes, Cancer risings can pour love into things that don't necessarily deserve it. Okay, so I just want you to be very, very mindful around that, because this rising sign does indicate that you have Capricorn on the descendant. And I really want to do a video that deep dives into descendants. Let me know if you would be interested in that. But just to briefly touch on it, with Saturn as your descendant ruler and with Capricorn on the ascendant, sometimes you can be drawn to more cold or detached individuals and want to like nurture them or to fix them or to make them all better or to make them more in tune with their emotions or to make them more emotional available. And it's like, they're just not that person. They're just not that. And maybe sometimes that could work, but most of the time it doesn't. And so often Cancers can be so in tune with the outflow of giving and nurturing that they forget that it should be a two-way street. So with Cancer risings, one thing I would say is have something to pour into that is not dependent on another person. Like, it's beautiful to nurture and to support. Like, Cancer risings will be some of the most amazing friends that you will ever come into contact with. But I love to see Cancer risings nurturing, whether it's projects or plants or something that they have this agency within, because human beings are volatile. And while it's beautiful to nurture and to care and to support for other people, it's not a given that they're going to be in our lives forever, right? And the same could be said for plants and pets. But I love to see Cancer risings pouring their care and their attention and their love into projects where they can see the rewards that come from that continued devotion. Like, I love to see Cancer risings pouring into their own creative projects where they can see the growth of their craft. I love to see Cancer risings pouring into the devotion of their garden and seeing the result that comes from that dedication of being out there, of checking in on the details. Like I said, Cancers have these amazing observational skills because that's what nurturing is. It's noticing, okay, these plants are droopy, a little, more water. Maybe I need to move the section. Okay, my child is crying. What is it that they need? Okay, this project, I like it, but it needs little tweaks. It's about being observational and attuning to how it is that you can better support that project, that pet, that whatever. So not to say that you should close off that side of yourself that wants to nurture and to pour love into, but also ensuring that you have components, whether it's yourself, your creativity, your garden, your home, whatever it is, something that you can reap the results on rather than pouring love and attention into someone and not feeling like you get anything in return. I hope I talked through that in a way that made sense, but essentially you guys have so much to give, and it makes me so sad when I see Cancer risings who just feel like they're giving and giving and not getting anything in return. So important to also nurture yourself, take care of yourself. So you see the world through this element around nurturing, of reading into the energetic and the emotional data of everything around how it is that you can pour into these projects and these people to make them better, right? Let's talk about how it is that the world sees you. So Cancer, you guys have a reputation. I'm not saying it's fair. No one's saying it's fair, but oftentimes people call you moody. And here's the thing. You guys aren't moody. You guys are emotionally responsive. You respond to the stimuli around you. People who call you moody simply aren't privy to the data that you are responding to. It's got to be emotional, noticing everything all of the time, right? Being attuned to all of these different levels all of the time. And when we think of the moon, your ruler, it's constantly changing signs, it's constantly changing phases, it's waxing, it's waning, it's new, it's full. It's a very changeable energy. So you yourself can be changeable. You can be responsive. You can struggle to be indecisive at times because you're waiting for that intuitive pull, because that's the other great thing about Cancer risings. You guys have great timing because you are in tune with your own emotions and you are in tune with the collective. Oftentimes you can take action at the perfect time. So oftentimes what you're perceiving as indecisiveness is just you waiting for that internal cue that comes from within on, okay, this is time to take action. The reason people call you moody is because they don't realize what it is that you're responding to. Like oftentimes there could be the slightest change in temperature at that party and you're responding to that. And there can be something that you thought of, a memory that was jogged when you looked at that particular brand of salsa. You're like, I used to buy that salsa with my ex. And then you're responding to that. People who aren't, privy to that or aren't aware of what it is that you're responding to could perceive you as, okay, they're really moody. Like they were happy 3 seconds ago and now they're sad. What happened? But it's because you, have this very emotional energy that you just see the world. Like you are water rising. You just see the world through the context of emotions, right? And the observational abilities that make you want to respond to that stimuli around you. So people can perceive you as moody. People perceive you as someone who is a tremendous listener. Sometimes to your detriment, love, honestly, because with Cancer, it's almost like this energy around, tell me everything. Because that's a water rising. People think they can dump anything into water, right? Like if we were to go to a river and pour red Gatorade in it, the river's not going to be like, no, I can't take it. I'm already emotionally drained and exhausted. The water just absorbs it. And then even though it's mostly river, it's part red Gatorade. And that's sort of how you are with the plights and the issues of other people. People feel safe opening up to you. There's something about you that makes them feel safe to just emotionally dump on you, but then you can take it on because you're reading into all the energetic emotional data. It's so important for Cancer risings to have ways to cleanse their energetic fields if it begins to be too much. Oftentimes, people don't notice that sensitivity right away. As a Cancer rising, you are governed by the crab, and crab has a tough exoskeleton, a tough shell. Is it a shell? I think it's a shell. And so because they're so soft, they feel so vulnerable and they feel so deeply, they oftentimes can sort of be guarded at first because Cancer rising is very security, stability oriented. They want to feel safe with you. So when they're first meeting people, they might need some time to sort of soak in the environment, whether the party or whether this person, before being their warm, generous, sparkly selves. Like they need some time to warm up to that person. You're not going to get access to the depths of their heart and the depths of their devotion right away. So being patient when it comes to Cancer rising, because they do need time to open up to you. They do need time to feel safe with you, because a lot of Cancer risings can perceive their softness or their emotional depth as a weakness. So the world has told them to harden up. They've been hurt before. I mean, that's just part of the human experience. But as a Cancer rising, you feel those things so deeply. And there also is this attachment to the past. Cancer risings can be very sentimental, very nostalgic. And oftentimes when you're deeply attached to the past, sometimes you can be deeply attached to the hurts of the past. It can make you want to be guarded and keep a little arm's length. There's nothing wrong with protecting the depth of your sweet hearts, Cancer risings. But it is important to realize that, what's transpired in the past won't necessarily be your experience in the future. Certainly trust your intuition when it comes to new people. Like Cancer and Scorpio risings are very much the people where it's like, everybody loves Genevieve. And you're like, I'm getting the weirdest vibe off Genevieve. This is not a good person. I do not want this person in my social circle. Like, trust your intuition, trust those instincts that come from within, because they can have a lot of insights for you, love. Now, to a physical level, they typically will kind of have rounder faces, and they have very, very big, expressive eyes that are stunning. There's something about their eyes that you just get lost in. It just feels receptive. They typically have really beautiful lips, defined lips, rounder faces, typically sort of like fuller cheeks, rounder expression, something very safe, very nurturing, very receptive about their face. Something about them makes you feel safe around them. Stunning, emotionally sensitive, nurturing, intuitive, psychic individuals who are not only in tune with their own emotions, their own intuition, but also the world around them. So my advice truly as a Cancer rising is boundaries are important around being in tune with your emotions and what it is that you need at any given moment. Being mindful around what it is that you are giving to the world around you and what it is that you're receiving, and nurturing something that has intrinsic value to you, that you can sort of track its growth and see the impact of the love that you pour into things, because it is truly something that deserves for you to reap the rewards. And maybe I'm just more sensitive to this because I just have observed so many Cancer placements where it's like they pour this magic that they have, this emotional capacity to give to people, into people who just don't deserve it. Maybe that's why I'm really harping on that particular point. But I really want you to pour into projects where you can track the growth, where you can see that blooming and that blossoming, and to most importantly, nurture yourself, because you deserve it more than anyone. So Cancer risings, I absolutely adore you. Please let me know what resonated, or if you have any questions below. Loves, my Instagram handle is @HaleyComet My TikTok is the same. I would love to connect with you over there. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.